Questionnaires. Learning intention. I can understand what a questionnaire is and how it is used to collect data. I can understand the importance of avoiding bias when collecting data. Success criteria. I can define a questionnaire and identify who the respondents are. I can describe different ways a questionnaire can be carried out. I can write clear, short, and appropriate questionnaire questions. I can identify and avoid leading, vague, or personal questions. I can explain what bias is and why it affects the fairness of data. I can recognize examples of selection bias. Questionnaires. A questionnaire is a set of questions designed to obtain data from individuals. People who answer questionnaires are called respondents. There are two ways in which the questions can be asked. An interviewer asks the questions and fills in the questionnaire, or people are given a questionnaire and asked to fill in the responses. When you are writing questions for a questionnaire, be clear what you want to find out and what data you need. Ask short, simple questions. Start with simple questions to encourage the person who is giving the responses. Provide response boxes where possible, for example, yes, no. Avoid leading questions such as, don't you agree that there is too much sport on television? Or, do you think that professional footballers are overpaid? Avoid personal questions such as those which involve name, exact age, or weight. Multiple response questions. A choice of responses can be very useful in replying to the question, what age are you? Here is an example. Tick your age in one of the boxes below. Under 18 years, 18 to 30, 31 to 50, and over 50. Notice that there are no gaps in the ages and that only one response applies to each person. So for example, if someone was 30, they would tick this box and not this one. Be very careful that you don't write, for example, 18 to 30 and then 30 to 50, because a 30-year-old wouldn't know to tick this box or that one. So just make sure that you don't repeat a value. And also make sure that you don't leave anyone out. So for example, if you said under 18 years, 18 to 30, 31 to 50, and then over 60, for example, then anyone who was 51 or 52 or 53 would not know what box to tick. So make sure that there's no gaps and that only one response applies to each person. Opinion scales. If you use an opinion scale, responses tend to cluster around the middle of the scale, as often people do not want to appear extreme. An opinion scale generally looks like this. Strongly disagree, disagree, no opinion, agree, strongly agree. Sometimes respondents are asked to mark a point somewhere along a scale like that shown below. So disagree, agree, and they put a mark somewhere along the scale to show where they would be. Again, there is a tendency to choose a point around the middle. One way to avoid a middle cluster is to provide an even number of options so that there is no middle choice. So for example here, there are only 5 options, so there's an obvious middle. But if there were 6, someone would have to be swayed one way or the other. Avoiding bias. Social media sites are now being used to source data for research purposes. Technology is then used to analyze this information. The benefits are that there can be millions of users of a particular site. The dangers are that selection bias can occur by excluding large sections of a population with little or no access to the social media site. When you are collecting data, you need to make sure that your survey or experiment is fair and avoids bias. If bias exists, the data collected might be unrepresentative. The boxes given below contain questions that should be avoided because they are too vague, too personal, or may influence the answer. So, how often do you play tennis? Sometimes, occasionally, often. So, is this question biased? And if so, why? The three words sometimes, occasionally, and often mean different things to different people. So this question is biased. Normal people enjoy swimming. Do you enjoy swimming? Yes or no? So is this question biased and why? This is a leading question and may cause the result to be biased. The first sentence should not be there. So yes, this is biased. Have you ever stolen goods from a supermarket? Yes or no? Is this question biased, and if so, why? Few people are likely to answer this question honestly if they have already stolen. So yes, this is a biased question. Do you agree that the EU is now big enough? Yes or no? Is this question biased? And if so, why? This question suggests that the right answer is yes, so it is biased. Whenever you undertake a survey or experiment, it is sensible to do a pilot survey. A pilot survey is one that is carried out on a very small scale to make sure the design and methods of the survey are likely to produce the information required. It should identify any problems with the wording of questions and likely responses. Avoid personal questions like, are you well educated? Or where do you live? And so on.